Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Big Book of Tarot, How to Interpret the Cards and Work with Tarot Spreads for Personal Growth, by Joan Bunning, narrated by Leslie Howard. Publisher's note: this audiobook includes bonus material. Please visit Tantor.com and type The Big Book of Tarot into the search box. Follow the link to the book's page. Then, under the Supplemental Content section, please enter the access code SUIT, spelled S-U-I-T, and then click the Unlock button to access the bonus material. The code should be entered in all lowercase letters. All figures and images referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. Preface. I discovered the tarot at a time of my life when I was seeking and exploring. I was open to whatever might help me understand my inner experiences. It was in that spirit when, by chance, I sat next to a psychic at a conference. We got to talking, and he eventually gave me an intuitive reading. The first words he said to me were, "You should study the tarot." I had heard about the cards, but knew very little about them. My inner guidance suggested I heed his advice, so I did. I bought some books, a deck of tarot cards, and began to practice and take notes. I immersed myself, as I tend to do. One day, a rough but fully formed chapter about the court cards appeared in my mind. What is this? I thought. I was puzzled but intrigued, so I wrote down what I was receiving. One thing led to another, more chapters followed, and eventually I had written a book. I tried to get it published, but with no success, so I put the manuscript away. Some years later, I developed a course and created a website for it, learntarot.com. My goal was to simply share what I had written while pursuing what seemed like a fun project. I began receiving feedback the very next day. And so began many years of correspondence with people from all over the world. Some had been using the tarot for years. Others were curious seekers such as myself. Many told me they had always wanted to study the cards, but didn't know how to begin until they found my site. I was deeply grateful for this chance to learn more about how the cards enhanced others' lives and experience. From the beginning, my inner guidance has been rather clear that my contribution to the tarot is as a writer and teacher. Now I'm able to look back and follow the train of synchronicities that has guided me along this deeply rewarding path. It led me to write and publish 3, and now 4, books. I can appreciate the purpose the tarot has offered me, and, I hope, the benefit to other people drawn to it. The Big Book of Tarot brings together all the key information and techniques from my earlier books in a unified, comprehensive format. The material is organized so that the content flows naturally from the basics to more advanced concepts, and I've refined and supplemented it with what I've learned in the intervening years. I walk you through learning the tarot step by step. I also include exercises to help you practice and teach you how to develop a relationship with your inner guide, that wise, intuitive voice that is essential to any meaningful tarot practice. This book is divided into 5 parts. Part 1 covers the basics, what you need to know to get started with the cards. Part 2 covers the reading process itself, how to carry out a tarot reading with techniques for interpreting the cards. Part 3 is the core of the book. It offers a detailed description of the meaning of each card, including reversals. This section is designed to be a continuing source of reference and inspiration. Part 4 covers tarot spreads and teaches you how to use the Celtic cross spread and my own flex spread, a basic framework that you can customize to fit any reading. Part 5 includes a number of helpful references, such as shuffling methods and step-by-step reading procedures. My main purpose in all my writings is to show you how to use the tarot for yourself. The tarot can help you better understand yourself and teach you how to tap your inner resources more confidently. You do not have to have psychic powers to use the tarot successfully. All you need is a willingness to honor and develop your natural intuitive abilities. The tarot remains an amazing tool for self-discovery. It just may be the tool you've been looking for to develop your own unrealized potential. May the cards always bring you many insights. Joan Bunning, Vienna, Virginia, December 26, 2018. Introduction. Years ago, when I told my brother I was studying the tarot, his first comment was, "How can a deck of cards possibly tell you anything about anything?" I laughed because I thought his reply summed up pretty well the common sense view of the cards. I too had my doubts about the tarot, but I found out the cards can make a real difference in the way you perceive and deal with the challenges in your life. In this introduction, I'll try to explain why. The origin of the tarot is a mystery. We do know for sure that the cards were used in Italy in the 15th century as a popular card game. Wealthy patrons commissioned beautiful decks, some of which have survived. The Visconti Sforza, created in 1450 or shortly thereafter, is one of the earliest and most complete. Later in the 18th and 19th centuries, the cards were discovered by a number of influential scholars of the occult. These explorers were fascinated by the tarot and recognized that the images on the cards were more powerful than a simple game would suggest. They revealed or created the true history of the tarot by connecting the cards to Egyptian mysteries, Hermetic philosophy, the Kabbalah, alchemy, and other mystical systems. These pursuits continued into the early part of the 20th century, when the tarot was incorporated into the practices of several secret societies, including the Order of the Golden Dawn. One of these practitioners was Arthur Edward Waite, who collaborated with illustrator Pamela Colman Smith to create the Rider-Waite deck in England in 1910. This deck was originally published by Rider and Company. It is still in print and is arguably the most popular tarot deck in use today. The illustrations in this book, which can be found in the accompanying bonus PDF, are adapted from the Rider-Waite deck. Although the roots of the tarot are in the occult tradition, interest in the cards has expanded in the last few decades to include many perspectives. New decks have been created that reflect these interests. There are Native American, herbal, mythological, and Japanese decks, among many others. The tarot is most commonly viewed as a tool for divination. A traditional tarot reading involves a seeker, someone who is looking for answers to personal questions, and a reader, someone who knows how to interpret the cards. After the seeker has shuffled and cut the deck, the reader lays out the chosen cards in a pattern called a spread. Each position in the spread has a meaning, and each card has a meaning as well. The reader combines these two meanings to shed light on the seeker's question. A simple process, but rarely presented in a simple way. In films, we always see the tarot being used in a seedy parlor or back room. An old woman, seated in shadows, reads the cards for a nervous young girl. The crone lifts her wrinkled finger and drops it ominously on the death card. The girl draws back, frightened by the sign of her impending doom. This aura of darkness clings to the tarot cards even now. Some religions shun the cards, and the scientific establishment condemns them as symbols of unreason, a holdover from an unenlightened past. Let us set aside these shadowy images for now, and consider the tarot for what it is: a deck of picture cards. the question becomes, what can we do with them? The answer lies with the unconscious, that deep level of memory and awareness that resides within each of us, but outside our everyday experience. Even though we ignore the action of the unconscious most of the time, it profoundly affects everything we do. In his writings, Sigmund Freud stressed the irrational, primitive aspect of the unconscious. He thought that it was the home of our most unacceptable desires and urges. His contemporary, Carl Jung, emphasized the positive, creative aspect of the unconscious. He tried to show that it has a collective component that touches universal qualities. We may never know the full range and power of the unconscious, but there are ways to explore its landscape. Many techniques have been developed for this purpose: psychotherapy, dream interpretation, visualization, and meditation. The tarot is another such tool. Consider for a moment a typical card in the tarot deck, the Five of Swords. This card shows a man holding 3 swords and looking at 2 figures in the distance. 2 other swords lie on the ground. As I look at this card, I begin to create a story around the image. I see a man who seems satisfied with some battle he has won. He looks rather smug and pleased that he has all the swords. The others look downcast and defeated. What I have done is take an open-ended image and project a story onto it. To me, my view is the obvious one, the only possible interpretation of this scene. In fact, someone else could have imagined a totally different story. Maybe the man is trying to pick up the swords. He's calling to the others to help him, but they refuse. Or maybe the other 2 were fighting, and he convinced them to lay down their arms. The point is that of all possible stories, I chose a certain one. Why? Because it is human nature to project unconscious material onto objects in the environment. We always see reality through a lens made up of our own inner state. Therapists have long noted this tendency and have created tools to assist in the process. The famous Rorschach inkblot test is based on such projection. Projection is one reason why the tarot cards are valuable. Their intriguing pictures and patterns are effective in tapping the unconscious. This is the personal aspect of the tarot, but the cards also have a collective component. As humans, we all have certain common needs and experiences. The images on the tarot cards capture these universal moments and draw them out consistently. People tend to react to the cards in similar ways because they represent archetypes. Over many centuries, the tarot has evolved into a collection of the most basic patterns of human thought and emotion. Consider the Empress. She stands for the mother principle, life in all its abundance. Notice how her image conjures up feelings of luxuriance. She is seated on soft, lush pillows, and her robe flows and folds around her. In the Empress, we sense the bounty and sensual richness of nature. The power of the tarot comes from this combination of the personal and the universal. You can see each card in your own way, but at the same time, you are supported by understandings that others have found meaningful. The tarot is a mirror that reflects back to you the hidden aspects of your own unique awareness. When we do a tarot reading, we select certain cards by shuffling, cutting, and dealing the deck. Although this process seems random, we still assume the cards we pick are special. This is the point of a tarot reading after all, to choose the cards we are meant to see. Now, common sense tells us that cards chosen by chance can't hold any special meaning. Or can they? To answer this question, let's consider randomness more closely. Usually we say that an event is random when it appears to be the result of the chance interaction of mechanical forces. From a set of possible outcomes, all equally likely, one occurs, but for no particular reason. This definition includes two key assumptions about random events. They are the result of mechanical forces, and they have no meaning. First, no tarot reading is solely the product of mechanical forces. It is the result of a long series of conscious actions. We decide to study the tarot. We buy a deck and learn how to use it. We shuffle and cut the cards in a certain way at a certain point. Finally, we use our perceptions to interpret the cards. At every step, we are actively involved. Why then are we tempted to say a reading is the chance interaction of mechanical forces? Because we can't explain just how our consciousness is involved. We know our card choices aren't deliberate, so we call them random. In fact, could there be a deeper mechanism at work? One connected to the power of our unconscious? Could our inner states be tied to outer events in a way that we don't yet fully understand? I hold this possibility out to you. The other feature of a random event is that it has no inherent meaning. I roll a die and get a 6, but there is no purpose to this particular result. I could just as easily roll a 1, and the meaning would be the same. Or would it? Do we really know these two outcomes are equal? Perhaps there is meaning and purpose in every event, great or small, but we don't always recognize it. At a party many years ago, I had the sudden urge to pick up a die sitting on the floor. I knew with great conviction that I would be able to roll this die 6 times without repeating any number. As I began, the laughter and noise of the party faded away. I felt a growing excitement as a different number appeared with each roll. It was only with the last successful roll that my everyday awareness returned, and I sat back, wondering what had happened. At one level, these 6 rolls were unrelated random events, but at another level, they were very meaningful. My inner experience told me this was so, even though an outside observer might not agree. What was the meaning? At the time, it was a lesson in the strange interaction between mind and matter. Today, I know it had another purpose, to be available to me now, years later, as an illustration for this very lesson. Meaning is a mysterious quality that arises at the juncture of inner and outer realities. There is a message in everything, trees, songs, even trash, but only when we are open to perceiving it. The tarot cards convey many messages because of the richness of their images and connections. More importantly, tarot readings communicate meaning because we bring to them our sincere desire to discover deeper truths about our lives. By seeking meaning in this way, we honor its reality and give it a chance to be revealed. If there is meaning in a reading, where does it come from? I believe it comes from that part of ourselves that is aware of the divine source of meaning. This is an aspect of the unconscious, yet it is much more. It acts as a wise advisor who knows us well. It understands what we need and leads us in the direction we need to go. Some people call this advisor the soul, the superconscious, or the higher self. I call it the inner guide because that is the role it plays in connection with the tarot. Each of us has an inner guide that serves as a fountain of meaning for us. Your inner guide is always with you because it is part of you. You can't destroy this connection, but you can ignore it. When you reach for your tarot deck, you signal to your inner guide that you are open to its wisdom. This simple act of faith allows you to become aware of the guidance that was always there for you. We are meant by nature to rely on the wisdom of our inner guide, but somehow most of us have forgotten how to access it. We trust our conscious minds instead and forget to look deeper. Our conscious minds are clever, but unfortunately they just don't have the full awareness we need to make appropriate choices day by day. When we are operating from our conscious minds, we often feel as if events are forced upon us by chance. Life seems to have little purpose, and we suffer because we do not really understand who we are and what we want. When we know how to access our inner guide, we experience life differently. We have the certainty and peace that come from aligning our conscious will with our inner purpose. Our path becomes more joyous, and we see more clearly how we bring together the scattered elements of our lives to fulfill our destinies. I use the tarot because it is one of the best tools I have found to make the whispers of my inner guide more available consciously. The ideas, images, and feelings that emerge as I work through a reading are a message from my inner guide. How do I know there is a message and it's not just my imagination? I don't, really. I can only trust my experience and see what happens. You do not really need the tarot to access your inner guide. The cards serve the same function as Dumbo's magic feather. In the Disney movie, Dumbo the elephant really could fly on his own, but he didn't believe it. He placed all his faith on the special feather he held in his trunk. He thought this feather gave him the power to fly, but he found out differently when it blew away, and he was forced to fall back on his own resources. The tarot cards may help you fly until you can reach your inner guide on your own. Don't worry for now about how this might happen. Just listen to this book, play with the cards, and see if you don't experience a few surprises. Part 1. Tarot Basics. Chapter 1. Elements of the Tarot. The Major Arcana. The standard tarot deck consists of 78 cards divided into 2 sections, the major and minor arcanas. The word arcana is the plural of arcanum, which means profound secret. To the alchemists of the Middle Ages, the arcanum was the secret of nature. The tarot cards are therefore a collection of the secrets that underlie and explain our universe. The 22 cards of the major arcana are the heart of the deck. Each of these cards symbolizes some universal aspect of human experience. They represent the archetypes, consistent directing patterns of influence that are an inherent part of human nature. Each card in the major arcana has a name and number. Some names convey a card's meaning directly, such as strength, justice, and temperance. Other cards are individuals who personify a particular approach to life, such as the magician or the hermit. There are also cards with astronomical names, such as the star, sun, and moon. They represent the elusive forces associated with these heavenly bodies. The major arcana cards are special because they draw out deep and complex reactions. The images on the Rider-Waite deck are evocative because they combine esoteric symbolism with recognizable figures and situations. The symbolism is subtle but effective. A major arcana card is always given extra weight in a reading. When one of these cards appears, you know the issues at stake are not mundane or temporary. They represent your most basic concerns, your major feelings and motivations. The major arcana is often considered as a unit. Different schemes have been developed to show how the cards form patterns that cast light on the human condition. Numerology, astrology, and other esoteric sciences often play a role in these schemes. Many interpreters view the major arcana as showing the different stages on an individual's journey of inner growth. What some call the Fool's Journey refer to Appendix A. In these systems, Each card stands for some quality or experience that we must incorporate before we can realize our wholeness. We all travel this road to self-actualization, though our trips more often involve detours, backups, and restarts than smooth progression. Our specific paths are unique, but our milestones are universal. The 22 major arcana cards are markers on the path of inner development, leading from earliest awareness, card 0, to integration and fulfillment, card 21. The Fool's journey seems to move smoothly from one order of experience to the next, but our learning adventures are usually not so tidy. We make mistakes, skip lessons, and fail to realize our potential. Sometimes we lack the courage and insight to discover our deepest levels. Some never feel the call of the hermit to look inward, or never experience the crisis of the tower that might free them from their ego defenses. Often we try to overcome our difficulties, but fail repeatedly. The lesson of the Hanged Man, to let go and surrender to experience, is one that is particularly hard and may need to be faced over and over before it is fully incorporated. Sometimes we experience lessons out of order. A person may absorb the qualities of strength early in life due to a difficult childhood, but only later develop the chariot's mastery and control. Someone may overcome the attraction of the devil's materialism through a life of seclusion, but then need to learn about relationships and sexuality, a lesson of the lovers, at a later time. The major arcana contains many levels and models of experience. These cards hold all the patterns of growth, whether they occur within one segment of a life or a whole lifespan. We could even say that an entire lifetime is really just one growth episode within the larger saga of our soul's development. No matter what our pattern of self-discovery, the major arcana shows us that wholeness and fulfillment are our destiny. If we keep this promise as our pole star, we will eventually realize our true nature and gain the world. Studying the major arcana cards. Choose any major arcana card to explore from the card description section, part 3. Become familiar with keywords and actions. Notice how keywords reinforce each other to create a certain kind of energy or focus. Note also how the actions flesh out the keywords. Listen to the description, but don't focus on the other information for now. Repeat this exercise for as many major arcana cards as you like. Don't worry about memorizing anything. The goal is simply to get comfortable with the card descriptions. The minor arcana. While the major arcana expresses universal themes, the minor arcana brings those themes down into the practical arena to show how they operate in daily events. The minor arcana cards represent the concerns, activities, and emotions that make up the dramas of our everyday lives. The suits. There are 56 cards in the minor arcana divided into 4 suits: wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. Each of these suits stands for a particular approach to life. Our everyday experiences are a blend of these 4 approaches. Your tarot readings will show you how the different suit energies are impacting your life at any given moment. Wands. The wands are the suit of creativity, action, and movement. They are associated with such qualities as enthusiasm, adventure, risk-taking, and confidence. This suit corresponds to the yang, or masculine principle in Chinese philosophy, and is associated with the element fire. A flickering flame is the perfect symbol of the wand's force. This energy flows outward and generates passionate involvement. Cups. The cups are the suit of emotions and spiritual experience. They describe inner states, feelings, and relationship patterns. The energy of this suit flows inward. Cups correspond to the yin, or feminine principle in Chinese philosophy, and are associated with the element water. The ability of water to flow and fill up spaces.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?